All right, we're going to continue to do a little work on the Gp1300R. Just wanted to show with the bucket out, they got rid of that rubber booted fuel sending unit / pickup tube assembly. So you no longer have to worry about a rubber boot going bad. There's some kind of weird sensor or something up in the nose. I don't know what that is. Have no idea what that is. Stuck up in front of the vent hose. That one's got me. But so strange. There's the water separator right there. Yeah, they changed a few things. Now, getting back to getting the engine out. Obviously, I've got to get all of the air breather pieces taken off. There's the 1 bolt there, center screen, that is going to be on that plastic assembly. That's got to come off. And this is why you video this, so you can remember where everything goes. This hose right here goes on the top of the exhaust. I'll show it to you in a minute. On the opposite side from where the lower hose that goes on right there. There's the lower hose. That's going to be critical to remember to put that back in. This one is just a vent. Not as critical, I guess, but I do want to get it back on where it's supposed to go when I go back together with this. So that hose goes on. Where is it? Oh, it was this piece right there. That's the top right. So that's where that hose goes. And of course you got your 2 back, one. This one goes on the back with the exhaust. I'm noticing that the pt2 shaft is much larger on this one than the 800, even maybe bigger than a 1200. I'd have to go look at my neighbor's ski and see. But to get this out, of course, I've got the 4-engine mount bolts. And of course, when I pull the engine, I'll put some bolts back in the head and use the attachment points that they provide to lift it up out of here. But it'll be a little lighter because it's going to have some parts off of it. So one of the things I didn't cover in the other video that I noted when I rewatched it to make sure, these bolt up to the exhaust. You've got the 1 bolt here and the 1 bolt here. It comes in. These are 14mm bolts. 2 of them that are bolted in the back side of that exhaust on. And then the 2 12mm head bolts that run straight down. I did not show that in the other video, to removal. You've just got 1 10mm center screen that takes off this. You move the little rubber tabs, just slide them out of those grooves. That really easily pops off. They've got a perfect alignment on this engine with the pt2 shaft. It's aligned so perfectly. And they do that with the shims. I'll have to see when I pull the engine and when you pull your engines from Yamaha's, make sure that your shims that are going to be under here, if there are any, that you put them right back where they came from, and you'll get this alignment perfect, just like they had it from the factory. So watch out for your shims where they drop, and usually going to drop right next to the mount that they came off of. So if I run into anything crazy, I'll be sure to note it. I am seeing that this clamp has an Oetiker style 1-use clamp on that hose. Looks like some sort of hose running to the fuel tank. I think this hose hooked up on the exhaust as well. Okay, just want to take notes as I'm going here. You've got the 2 bolts on either end of this air box assembly for your fuel injection. They're shorter, 12 millimeter heads, but they got a washer that stays on them. And then on the front, you've got the same 12 millimeter bolt, but it's slightly longer with the washer that stays on it as well. It goes right here. And it looks like that's all of the bolts that mount that air system. And then there's going to be the clamp there, center screen. Loosen that clamp. Hopefully I can leave the other one and have it be able to pull out. I may have to pull both of them to get all that out of the way. We'll find out as we go a little further. But I also wanted to make note that I had some other footage that didn't come through on my first video. I don't know whether I didn't hit play or what, but the head has a ground strap bolted to this little screw. Well, not screw, it's a bolt. Screws are for wood or metal that go directly into it, but this is a bolt, and this ground goes under that bolt. This is the fuel line coming in here with this Oetiker clamp crimping down. So I've got to cut that Oetiker clamp. I've got plenty of sizes of those, so that's not going to be an issue to replace that. Cut that, pull that away, and that will disconnect the fuel line. It looks like the oil bleed screw is right here for your oil pump, to bleed the air out of your oil pump. When you put it all back together, that doesn't bleed all of your lines, that just bleeds the air out of the pump itself. And like I said, I'm going to go, this wrench I found in the ski, so somebody tried to do something, and it does fit this. So I'll mention again, on these 1200s, 1300s, pretty much if you drop anything in the ski while you're working on it, if you can't tilt the trailer and get it, whatever part you had to come down in this area, you're never going to find it. And most of that area is inaccessible if you've got big hands and arms like I do, and you're not going to be able to get it out anyway. Stainless steel bolts are non-magnetic. You'll have to use a grabber tool. So let's get this going. I'll further dig into this baby. Okay, got the engine bolts loose. These mounts are unique. So they have a hole. I'm just going to jam each shim that went under each. And they all four had shims, by the way. I heard the other front two drop out also. So I'm just going to keep them there like that. Even when I clean the hull, they should stay there. They fit in there pretty tight. This is a heavy sucker. It's going to have to... some of y'all young people might try to lift them out by hand, but I will not do it. Got to cut that one white tie wrap there to get that loose. That is not a removable one. But even on this little bracket, that this goes behind the little motor here, hangs down like this on the bracket. And I didn't mention that was where's that bracket? This bracket here. Was it 12s? Yeah, it was 12 millimeters. You've got to take the motor off to get to the third one, because the bracket has to come out of the way too, or you can't get that exhaust off. I didn't mention that in the video. Actually, I did, but somehow that part of the video I edited out or cut out or something, or it didn't. Anyway, 3 12s with this sitting vertically to get that bracket out, and then 2 10s hold the motor in. And they do have washers behind them. The engine mount bolts are for, I said 14 millimeter. I was wrong yet again. These are 12 millimeter engine bolts, and they have red Loctite on them, so they're in there pretty good. Also know this engine's never been removed, never been messed with by anyone. And this, all it says is the last of my serial is 03. So maybe this is 2003. I thought all of the year models were produced the year earlier for the next year. So it's either an 03 or an 04. So time to bolt up the head, lift the engine out, I've got to disconnect the oil line. I've noticed when I went on the other side to get this one mount bolt out, it's the only one I really couldn't get to from this side, my reservoir is completely empty. So it may be that they just ran it slap out of oil. There's none in there, and it's not all leaked down in the hull, which you would see if there was a leak. There's no two-stroke all in the hull. So these people may have just run it completely out without it being able to return the excess oil to the reservoir through the return line. It probably would have run out faster. I don't know. That's what a cylinder with no oil looks like. These two are relatively good condition. A little blackness from burning the two-stroke, but that's a pretty good condition on those two. Just got the one cylinder that I'll have. I'm gonna have it re-nickel-sealed. I'm not gonna sleeve that. I'm gonna go with re-nickel-seal. Hopefully, there's a couple of companies that do that. It's $300 to have that done. And these are way shorter cylinders than the 800 or the 1200. So I guess it's just man, allergies are bad. It's you got a faster up and down stroke. Woo, that thing's turning some serious RPMs. Let's get it out. I just wanted to show the fuel injection. I didn't show it. Actually, I did a video. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. It didn't translate somehow. But there it is. And this is how you have to pull it, apparently. As a unit, once you loosen the boots, the 3 boots with the Allen, and then the 2 bolts on each end, get all your injectors disconnected. That is going to be a throttle position sensor, I think. Let's see. Does it cam when you throttle? Yeah. See? That thing is probably supposed to, it's going to sense when that throttle comes back onto it. Some sort of magnetic deal. Then there's another sensor here on the end. That was the only one that I really had a little bit of trouble getting the plug off of, was this one. As I said, they made all of the wires different shapes, so you're not going to get them confused. The only ones that you could were the injector plugs, but the length of the wire is going to determine which injector you deal with. One of the cautionary note I wanted to mention was the fuel rail is plastic. So be careful when you're cutting your Oetiker clamp that you don't break this fuel rail nipple. So that was the only thing that I could see would be an issue if you were twisting too hard trying to cut that Oetiker. And then there's some sort of sensor inside the air box. I don't know if that's temperature or oxygen. I don't know, but there's some sensor there too. When you get into fuel injected, you've got all these sensors that have to be into play for the computer to monitor airflow. Actually, this is going to be throttle position. Think about it. I don't know, some kind of stop sensor. I don't know, because think about it. Here's your on the end of your where your butterflies fit. So that's telling the computer where your throttle position is at all times. And that's going to meter fuel and that sort of thing. That's some kind of stop sensor, from what I can tell. From what I can tell, I try to figure all this little stuff out, and it's all from years of automotive that all of it translates from one thing to the other. You got flame arresters inside there. They're not filthy dirty. There's absolutely no way to pull this cover in the ski. This has got to come out, and it comes out as a unit just like this. There it is. Pollen and the allergies are really getting me this year. Getting ready to pull the engine. I'm ready to haul it down and do my shade tree come along jet ski engine removal. I'll move this up out of the way. I did find the cap down in the hull. Like I said, whoever worked on this, you drop stuff in this hull, you can't find it. Even something as big as that cap, I couldn't see it anywhere from up above with all the stuff in it. Oh, and this hose is not supposed to be laying sideways like that. This hose is supposed to be right here. That's your siphon hose, and it hooks up to that little white piece right there. That's so if you get water in your hull, it'll go out through that hose when you're kind of getting up. It'll siphon out through that, and that's not going to work properly if it's laying over on the side. It has to be up like this. It works just like a drain hose. If you've got a in-sinkerator, that's a food grinds up the food in your sink or on your dishwasher, you'll notice they take those hoses and they loop them way up like this. So this has got to be the same way. Somebody else cut another tie wrap that didn't need to be cut. But this one also has a, I can't even see because the sun is shining so much on my screen, but there's a bilge pump down in there, that red pump. Be interesting to see if it comes on when the jet ski's running, just like my old Tiger Shark did. And the Tiger Shark ended up being a 90-degree elbow that had bits and pieces of the old fuel pickup tube shoved in it. You could blow air through it, but it wasn't enough for when the engine was running. I sold it to a guy. He was so thrilled that that's all he had to do was fix it, and I'm happy for him to get that Tiger Shark. He's running it and running it all over the place. It was a really good Tiger Shark, believe it or not, that I had. So let's get this hooked up to my car and go pull it on my shade tree pulling mechanism. Get this engine out of here.